during this 2 or 1.5 day, we learn a lot about ArcGIS and how we are serving public with our tools. The question is, do we really know who is our public, where they live, what they do? So let's look and try to recognize it from Raminta Povilaitytė story map. Raminta, floor is yours.
Okay, so hello everyone. I hope you are not too tired already, because I am. So bear with me on this one. Okay, maybe I can move it here. Oh, did I unplug something? Okay. So today I will present my master's research that I did last year. And it is about you. It is about people and how we are different. The idea is called socio-morphotopes. It's a hard word in English and it cannot make sense. So let's imagine this as social profiles of our communities. So just to begin, there are a lot of theories why in different areas of a city people are different. But we can summarize it into a couple of sentences. Firstly, we have different priorities, different needs. Some of us want to live in a green area. Some of us want be near their job, have a lot of activities they can do in the evening. And so we have our needs, our values, but we also are limited by finances and stuff like that. And there's also the society, the laws that do not allow us to live everywhere we want. Yeah, we have city plans, we have protected areas. Some of us in Lithuania can live in protected areas, but that's another story. And all these components, they result in how people settle and where they settle and how these areas gain these social faces that you can recognize. And the first law of geography says that everything is related, but near things are more related than distant things. So in a way, we can say that if people live close to each other, they're probably similar in a way. So to explore this and how you can use it in planning your cities, I try to, create these social profiles in Vilnius Municipality. So as this is an academical work, I will do some, basic stuff that you have to do with this type of research. And I will present you few basic concepts that we have. So we'll talk about residential differentiation. It's simply how people are fragmented in space, how they are distributed. And we discovered this through geodemographic segmentation, which is basically the classification of small areas into categories based on demographic, social, economical, lifestyle, and other data and characteristics about people. And the result of this, we would call this socio-morphotopes, but for the ease of my tongue today, I will say social profiles. So how do we do this? In Lithuania, we have a lot of statistical data in municipality level or in a little bit smaller administrative units, but they are still very big. You have 10,000 of people living in these areas, so you cannot say that all people there are the same. So for this, I try to create these blocks or neighborhoods that would, create these areas that, people live close by, and they are divided by natural barriers like forests, rivers, and built ones streets. So just a quick image how those polygons were created, and of course I eliminated areas for gas stations, supermarkets, because, well, people are not living there, so it's not relevant for us. So in Vilnius Municipality, we have almost 900 of those neighborhood blocks. This is some technical stuff. I will move past it. And we need, to infuse those blocks with a lot of data. We want to have a variety of different attributes that would showcase every aspect of population, social, demographic, economical. And we do have a lot of data, but we don't have enough. That's a pity because we have it in municipality level, let's say, so you can't use that data. So the main source is probably census data, and you can then infuse the blocks with that data, and then you look at the differences between those. Some of the attributes are not statistically relevant. We have very similar number of men in each of those blocks, so you don't need to use it because it might affect negatively your results. So I had 30 different attributes that were statistically significant in 4 areas: social, economic, demographic, and the living environment, because I think people affect the environment, but the environment later reflects the people that live there. So how the segmentation was done, so there's this tool in ArcGIS Pro that's called multivariate clustering, which is basically we have these different areas in municipality, and with this tool you simply select a random block, and then you search for the most different block, which is the furthest not in an area, in a space, but in that data manner, in attributes. And then you divide into these groups, and then you assign each of the neighborhood to a specific group. And it is a hard question because you don't actually know how many groups to assign. So you can run this multiple times, and since the first random block is always different, you always get different results. So you try to run this tool multiple times to stabilize it, and you try to evaluate those results. So there were interesting results, not expected results, but we'll get into that a little bit later. And so 30 different attributes is not a lot, but it's still hard to evaluate by yourself. So I divided firstly my whole municipality into 4 groups of characteristics. So for the living environment, you have very easy to explain situation here. We have the city center, we have the airport zone, we have the areas near railroads that differ, from the city center and stuff like that. You have the suburbs, and maybe one interesting division between those areas in my analysis were that you have this I don't know the English word for it, but it would be like those sleeping areas where people used to go after work, in Soviet urban planning. And I divided them into 2 different groups. One of them are like snoozing sleeping areas, and others are awakening, because there are some activities, leisure activities, shopping centers, so people are not only sleeping there. So we have different sorts of those residential areas or sleeping areas. It is familiar for us, but not probably for other countries. And for the demographics, well, we have aging society in the city center, in the residential areas. We have multi-ethnic communities in the south. For those who are from Lithuania, it's probably pretty clear because of some historical reasons, urban planning decisions. This part was hardly industrialized, and we had a lot of people come here from other Soviet republics to work. And in the north, we have young families because we're spreading north, the suburbs, and the families are moving there. As we look at the social aspect, it's pretty similar. We just simply can divide the city center because we have like city professionals that live around the city center because they want probably to be close to their job. And we have the same, the demographics really reflect the social part as well, because in the north we have like middle class families living there, while up north we have, young perspective families. Yeah, and economic groups, especially, the difference is really seen from south to north. So we have like this very clear distinction of our residents in a matter of the spatial aspect. And when we combine all of this, we get 9 different social profiles, and I could go into each of those because it's really interesting for me personally, but we don't have that time. So I will simply talk about some of those. Maybe the one that I feel is most interesting to to all the people that have heard this presentation before, so it's probably the third social profile. And you have this infograph. It probably won't be very clear to see, but in this area we have very aging society, a lot of older people. The average is the highest here. And these are the areas, in those sleeping areas that have, old Soviet bloc buildings, so it's not very attractive for young families here. Despite the fact that there are a lot of schools, a lot of activities, and you could live here, but families are not choosing to do that, so we have an aging society, and the demographic pyramid really shows that. But what is interesting, we have almost every woman have a child, but there are the least households with children. So where are those children of that woman? And it's really simple actually to answer, because of the age, we can say that those children, they grew up and they moved somewhere else. They left empty nests. So this social profile, social group is called empty nest, just to have that image in front of you when you think about this group, and that's why I try to assign those names. And of course, when you're doing research, any research, it's really important to think about how you can apply your research, because doing science for science is not that fun, and I try to create some applications that would showcase how this could be used in urban planning, because usually when you look through planning documents that analyze the current situation, you see very abstract data for the whole municipality, but they never go into that deeper, smaller area. So I tried to show the benefits of doing that. So there's an app that you can, go through each of the areas, social profiles, and some of the use cases that you can use. So you simply can have a query tool here that you select an area and you want to check whether for example, you're planning to build a school. Is the school really necessary here? Is there enough children that would go there, not driving from the other part of the city? And you can simply analyze, and you don't need to analyze different attributes, different aspects. You can simply see that, okay, there are a lot of social profiles of families. There are many of those, and maybe our decisions are, rational here. Another example is, that you can, that's the explanation of the empty nests. I provided this like a storytelling why I chose this name and what problems this area might face. And when you are talking with public, if you are trying to involve public into urban planning, you can identify this problem, show them this, and say, okay, what's happening? Why? You can ask the teenagers at school, do you like this place? Do you want to live here? Why not? So it's not like a tool that solves everything, but it helps you identify problems and move forward. And finally, when I think about these areas, I think what is really important is that you can intersect this data with any other data. Let's say I'm working in police and I want to investigate crime and why this is happening. I don't need to do demographic analysis, social analysis. I can just underline this with social groups. And in a way, you get this new profiles, crime profiles, and you have all this data already consumed and aggregated, and you have much easier analysis here. Yeah, so that would be pretty much it. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer those. Thank you.
Okay. So, Raminta, first of all, thank you for the spirit. I think you agree, eh? It's impossible to sleep during this kind of presentations. And I'm quite sure that commission on your master was agree with you as well. So we have some questions in slide actually 3 for now. What is the source of data? Was the analysis made on declared persons in every address, or the source come from different spheres? Is the data, actually it's 2 questions, if the data syncs automatically or manually?
The main source was census data. I did use open available data, so it's not in every resident detailed data, but I wanted to use open data just to show that you can reuse this. You don't need to go through, knock on the doors and do stuff like that. So this is census data. I also used data like buildings data, when they were built, how many people owned those houses, how many rent. You can find any data regarding financial situation. We don't have that in a detail. So I did use some rent prices, apartment value data, and I just tried to infuse everything into those blocks. And for this, it was static. If I want to redo this, if the census is updated next year, I would have to replace the data. So, but yes, for masters, it was enough at the time.
Okay, so second question is just the same actually. How easy the initial data collection for research was?
Yeah, but it's not easy, because we, as I mentioned, we don't have a lot of data in small areas. So this was the biggest challenge, how to collect. Because when you look at the results, some of the social profiles, they do look a little bit similar. So you would need data, how people are spending their money. Are they eating out? Are they eating inside? How they spend their time. And this is done actually in USA, in UK. They do have this data. They even know how much you spend on chicken. And they can, decide on your day-to-day life and what you would like. And this is usually used in a market research when you are looking for potential clients. So yeah, so from that point, it could be improved.
Okay. I really like next one question. Can we somewhere read your research in more details?
Yeah, sure.
Where?
I think you can even find it when you Google it, the application.
Okay, if not, Raminta is working for Baltic, one of organizers. Just read us, send us email.
Yeah, you've probably seen me before.
Okay. Another question. Can you comment on how Lithuania is using mobile positioning data for mobility analysis of different demographic groups, school, roads, etc.?
I hope they are doing it, okay. But I don't know.
Next question. All dashboards are made with no code, even no scripts?
No. I'm not a developer. So no coding here. It's mostly the analysis was done in ArcGIS Pro. I did use Model Builder to run segmentation 100, 200 times, to stabilize the group number. But despite that, it's Experience Builder, low code, no code.
Good. Next one. Justina's asking, was there any outliers or any other anomalies in the data? If so, how were they addressed? Thank you.
There were, and it was pretty strange, but it wasn't because there are different people there, but I did use open available data of census, 100-meter grids. So you can imagine if in that area there is only one house and there are like 3 people living there, then you have like 3 people, but then you have 9 men and 9 women. Because of the confidentiality, they have to aggregate those numbers up to 9. So I'm looking at it, I'm like 300% men. Okay, this is interesting. So I did notice this a week before I had to submit my master's. So I just wrote that as this is a limitation of this research.
Okay, good. So I can answer the next one. This story map is publicly available. Yeah. Next one is not a question, but congratulations and have a nice trip to San Diego.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think everyone will agree with the next one. Very interesting presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you.